Aliens have not visited this planet. And here's why. First off, the laws of science that we have discovered yet have not found a plausible way for a single entity, let alone an entire race of creatures, to traverse the dangerous blackness of space, navigate it, and then find the one tiny bullseye in the cosmic dartboard, another planet in the Goldilocks zone of its star that can support life. Everyone says, well, the aliens that have visited our world, I hear this all the time, the speculation, they have they have hyper advanced technology. Well, they don't actually, because they don't exist. That hyper advanced technology only exists in your mind. Well, what if they break the speed of light? Well, if you look at the idea of the speed of light, it just basically means that they're, adding mass, if I'm correct in the whole thing. The closer you get to the speed of light, the more mass you have, until you have infinite mass. And then that's kind of, I think, that ends up destroying something. I'm not sure. The other thought, I mean, that alone is, like, if you could argue that scientifically it is possible, wormhole theories and all that crap, then let's just get down to the brass tacks of it. I used to listen to a lot of George Norrie working at a convenience store overnight. And if George Norrie ever listens to this, George, you agree with everything. I've never heard you disagree with it. You agreed with a guy that described being Gordon Freeman from Half-Life. That doesn't lend to your credibility, George. I mean, I don't know about your predecessor, but the idea behind someone that does your job, you have to be a skeptic. You have to accept everything with a grain of salt. You just go, oh, so there are leprechauns living in your bread box. And what is that like? Tell me more about it. Is this a threat to everybody? No, you have to be a skeptic. So, upon listening to all of this, I noticed a pattern in many of these stories. Let's go with alien abduction first. All alien abductees, they see something in the sky, they black out, and it's several hours later. Then, for some strange reason, they agree to undergo hypnosis. They start having weird dreams, and then they're revealed that they were abducted by aliens, and that these aliens somehow they at that time they were able to break the aliens' control and look around and talk and everything. And these aliens have selected them and a handful of other people into some sort of weird hybridization breeding program, because that's always what it is. It's always about sex, and that should be a dead giveaway. The idea is that these people, and then they find out that they've been abducted since they were children, and that's supposed to be, well, they're all similar. I mean, that should tip you off. No. If too many of the stories are the same, that should tip people off, that people are fundamentally working on the same wavelength. Maybe not completely lying. I mean, their brain is protecting something to make up that kind of fancy. They could have been diddled by Uncle Frank in the broom closet. What's better, to know that your favorite uncle fucked you in the ass, or that you were abducted by a race of super intelligent beings who selected you, yes, you, of all of the people, the millions of people on the planet, because your DNA was super special, and that only your DNA could help create a breed of superhuman, alien, perfect soldiers, not soldiers, but like a perfect race. I meant to say Aryan, because that's the idea. It's a breeding program. It's eugenics. Nobody seems to think this is bad, but eugenics is bad if it's done by Nazis. But if it's done by little bald guys with giant eyeballs and a flying saucer, then it's okay. No one seems to bat an eyelash about that. Also, a lot of people say, well, they're just here to help us. Well, why? What do they get out of it? Well, their motivations are alien. Well, if their motivations are alien, then why would they help us? Altruism isn't usually altruism is something we've invented, or at least as far as we know. Aliens, well, maybe they've reached enlightenment. Well, no. Again, enlightenment is a human thing. If they have evolved beyond us, then you can't use any of the terminology, any of the ideals that we've come up with. They've reached spiritual enlightenment. Well, maybe spiritual enlightenment doesn't matter. If you want to look at what aliens are like, read H.P. Lovecraft. Those are the aliens that would come after us. Why? Because those are the aliens that truly don't think like we do. None of them think like we do. They look upon mankind with a cold indifference. Now, here's another question. If they're so altruistic, why are they kidnapping people? Why not come and go, hey, we need your help, or we want to help you guys. Allow us to please do some medical research on your people. It might be a little invasive. It would save the shit out of scaring the hell out of people, and it would save a lot in doctor's visits. But no, they're altruistic. They want what's best for us. But yet they kidnap us against our will, force us into these medical experiments. Does that sound altruistic? That sounds like an authoritarian government to me. No. These invasive medical procedures and implants are for your own good. We know better than you. We're in the super advanced race of aliens. We can fly through space. People seem to love to lose control over shit. Then there's the idea that though these creatures are super advanced, and they do everything in a clandestine manner, somehow, for years, their very existence was stifled by a group of inferior people, our government. That's like an ant hiding the existence of man from an entire hive of ants. Okay, hill of ants, whatever. Shut up. My point is this. If you're going to subscribe to one line of logic when it comes to aliens, then subscribe to the Hawking logic, where if they do come billions of light years and make all this risk, it's not because they're fucking hippies. They want something. I wanted at one point to call in. Unfortunately, I never got the chance to call in and throw a different idea out to George Norrie. I might do it at some point if I ever stay up that late again. It might happen when I go to the SnowCon Gaming Convention at some point. It's this week in Orono, in Maine. Not this week, but this month rather. And I'd love to throw an interesting idea. What if aliens are real? Let's say I'm devil's advocate. The aliens have been coming to Earth and have been abducting people for medical experiments. What if it's not benevolent? What if it's malevolent? It all comes down to the idea of fear. And it's the reason that most people won't believe most conspiracy theories. And it's stupid human logic. It's not that you have found any evidence to the contrary. It's that the contrary is too frightening. And if you were to accept that, you must then accept some sort of futility and danger into your own life. Now, I'm not saying it's true, but let's use the Sandy Hook incident. I've seen a lot of things over the internet right now about is Sandy Hook was Sandy Hook a conspiracy? Was the shooting perpetrated to attack our Second Amendment rights? Now, any conspiracy theorist would tell you that any totalitarian government's first goal, once seizing power, is to disarm its citizens. Most do that. Feudal Japan, of course, did it. They created Bushido to make people think that only samurai could have. I know people, fuck you weeaboos that say oh, but the samurai were noble. No, they were horrible rapists. They were bad, bad people. Just like the early colonials were bad, bad people. All of our ancestors were pricks. You don't have to be white to be a dick. I digress. Now, the first thing, they say the first thing you do is you disarm your citizens. Well, what's the alternative? If it instead of it being one crazy ass kid who didn't get enough good parenting, and that's what it is. It's not enough good parenting. The guns didn't tell him, "Oh, you should go in and shoot a bunch of people, kid." No. But suppose for a minute that the conspiracy nuts are right, and that the government did set this up to take away our rights. Now, don't tell me, well, that they would never do that. Let's engage in devil's advocate. Let's engage in a little free thinking. If they did, then that means our government has no regard for our personal freedoms. It has no regard for our personal intelligence, our integrity. It has no regard for what we want out of our lives. Isn't that a lot scarier than thinking there's just one nutball out of 1,000 that'll shoot up a public place? Again, not saying that that's the case, but it's the same idea with aliens. Most people would rather believe that they are these peace-loving, hippie little things that come out of the sky like angels and tell you everything is going to be okay. We're just trying to save our race and yours. Or they could be harvesting our DNA to fix their own stupid problems with no regard for our personal safety. And they could be planning to breed us out, kind of intergalactic prima nocta. My point, I guess, in all this, the aliens are kind of the backdrop to it. Much like zombies were in World War Z, Brad Pitt. It's not a gore movie. Sorry, I had that guide there. The idea is that not many people walk around with open minds anymore. They stick closely to their ideals. I've got to be one of them. I mean, as a libertarian, I stick very closely to the ideals of the, personal liberties and whatnot. But if you give them evidence to the contrary, and that contrary frightens their worldviews, they will deny it. And when you ask them what reasoning they have, their reasoning is pretty much, no matter what they say, because the alternative is more frightening.